All right, so what do you notice on this page that we've seen before? The sigma thing, right? Summation notation or sigma notation. The only difference is today we're going to do these with arithmetic series instead of, with geometric series instead of arithmetic ones. So, remember how many blank spots do I have to fill up? Let me get my highlighter here. 3 spots that I have to fill up. 1, 2, and 3. What is it that I put on the bottom? X equals 1. What do you think I put on the top of this one? I put how many numbers there are. For this example, what do I put? Infinity. Now I have to put what over here? The explicit formula. So let's look at the explicit formula. What is my R value here? What are they multiplying by each time? 2. And my first term is 2. So what's my formula? 2 times 2 to the x minus 1. That's it. Easy peasy? Good answer. All right. Let's look at this guy. What goes on the bottom? X equals 1. What goes on the top of this one? Why'd you get 6? 6 terms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I got to find my R value. Not quite as easy, is it? A little more difficult. So if I take the second term and I divide it by the first term, what do I get? So my R value is 1/2. So what's my formula then? First term, which is 12, times 1/2 to the x minus 1. Can you handle that? That part's super easy, right? Now, when we did the arithmetic series, if you remember back on this day, we also had to talk about how do you find the sum of a finite arithmetic. Well, now we have to find the sum of a finite geometric. Okay? Again, we can't find the sum of something that's infinite, sort of, with geometric, but we're not going to. Has to be finite in order for us to find the sum. Now, the formula is a little bit different. It's a little bit more complex. What does a sub 1 mean? First term. It means our f of 1, right? And of course, we're using x instead of n. So, this right here is the same series, or it's the series related to the sequence we just wrote the sigma notation for, right? So what was my R value? Anybody? 1/2. And what was the first term? 12. So we're going to find the sum of this series related to that sequence. So I'm going to find the sum of how many terms? 6 terms. That is going to be equal to the first term, which is 12, times 1 minus my R value to the 6th over 1 minus my R value. What? Crazy, huh? So we've got 1 minus R and 1 minus R on the top and the bottom. But on the top, we're going to include that exponent that's equal to the number of terms. And out in front, we have to put the first term. So not quite as easy to understand as the arithmetic one was. So let's see what we've got. On the top, I'm going to do this in a little bit, well, let's see, let's just use some parentheses. 12 times 1 minus 1/2 to the 6th. Now keep in mind that 6th is where? Is it inside or outside the parentheses? Inside. Many of your calculators, you may need to put parentheses around your fraction also. Like that. Does that make sense? I get 189 over 16. Well, that's kind of ugly. What am I going to divide that by? If that's my whole numerator, Can we go to decimal? Let's not go to decimal. 189 over 16. What am I dividing that by? 1 minus 1/2. What's 1 minus 1/2? A half, right? So, if I clear it out even, I could do 189 over 16 divided by 1/2. And I get 189 over 8. Can I check my answer? How would I check my answer? Add up all the terms and see if I get 189 over 8. So let's see. 12 plus 6 plus 3 plus 3/2 plus 3/4 plus 3/8. 189 over 8. So? It's kind of ugly, I know. All right, let's look at this guy. This one you notice is not starting at 1. So it's not 11 terms. How many terms are we adding together? We are skipping terms 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that leaves us with 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 7 terms. Yeah? We're skipping 4 terms. So 11 minus 4 is 7. All right? Now, the first term is not really the first term, it's the 5th term, isn't it? So how am I going to find the first term that I have to plug into my formula? Well, I have to plug in 5 into my equation, don't I? 12 times negative 3 to the 5 minus 1 is 4. 972. And what's my R value? Negative 3. So let's do our formula here. The sum of 7 terms is equal to the first term times 1 minus my R value to the what power? 7th all over 1 minus my R value. Now, I have a question. Well, let's see. The denominator is going to become what? 4, right? 1 minus a negative 3 is going to become 4. So I really have 972 times something over 4. Do I change this to a plus 3 before I raise it to the 7th? No. In fact, I can actually type it into my calculator just like that. 1 minus negative 3 to the 7th. What does that give me? 2188. So what do I have to do? 2188 times 972 divided by 4, and I get 531,684. And yes, I could get large answers here. The first term is 972, and I'm adding together 7 terms. Could be a pretty big number. So? Okay, last problem. Given 2 terms of a geometric sequence, find the explicit formula. So in other words, this is the term 3, 40, and this is the term 7, 640. Right? Now, this is not arithmetic, so I can't just go for slope. What I have to do is I have to think about my formula. What's my formula? It is, how should I write this? Y is f of x is equal to the first term times r to the x minus 1, right? I'm going to plug in this information into that formula. So what would I plug in for f of x, or y? 40 equals, I don't know f of 1, I don't know r, but I can plug in 3 minus 1, can't I? So that gives me 40 equals f of 1 times r to the second. So far, so good? I'm going to do the same thing over here. 640 equals f of 1 times r to the 7 minus 1. So that becomes 640 equals f of 1 times r to the 6th. So here's the deal. We are going to use the division method that we used last semester, which means I take the one with the bigger exponent and I'm going to leave that one on the top, and I'm going to write the one with the smaller exponent underneath it. And we're going to do some division. So what do I start dividing? 640 divided by 40 is 16. What happens to f of 1 over f of 1? Cancels. And what do I have if I have r to the 6th over r to the 2nd? R to the 4th. So how do I find out what r to the 4th is? Take the 4th root, correct? Or you could raise it to the 1/4 power. Either way. What do I get r equaling? 2. Because 2 to the 4th is what gives me 16. So I found r. How do I find the first term? Go back to one of my equations. This one's probably the easiest. So 40 equals f of 1 times, what would 2 squared be? 4. Divide by 4. F of 1 is equal to 10. Do I have everything I need for my equation? So f of x equals what? 10 times 2 to the x minus 1. So what did I do there? I plugged in each point into the equation. Make sure the one with the higher exponent is on top. Divide. And then you can get your other answer. Okay? Happy studying.